Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is The Raptor, and welcome back to another one of my reaction videos. So today I'm going to be reacting to the new episode of Death Battle, which just came out, which is Scarlet Witch from Marvel versus Zatanna from DC. I am really excited for this episode. You know that I love Marvel and DC, and Zatanna and Scarlet Witch are both really awesome characters from those universes, so I'm really excited to see what Death Battle does with the characters, how they analyze them. I just think, we're in for a real treat. There's a lot of magic that these characters have. I think it's just going to be really awesome. Hopefully the spectacle lives up to expectations. I guess we'll have to watch the episode to judge, but still, I'm really looking forward to it. In terms of who I want to see win, I don't have a huge preference between these two characters. I've known Scarlet Witch for longer. Not to say I haven't known Zatanna for a while, but I technically have known Scarlet Witch for longer. But I don't really have a huge preference between the two. I think they're both really powerful and they're both really cool in their own rights. In terms of who I think is going to win, though, I really have no idea. This is one of those fights like Doctor Strange versus Dr. Fate where it feels like, how the hell do you even get a solid grasp on these characters to come to a definitive conclusion like that, There are so many different characters that these guys could scale to, so many different power levels, so many different feats that they have. It's like, how even do you analyze it? I did go for Scarlet Witch in my prediction video, and if I had to pick, I would still want to say her, but I really don't know. I really have no idea. Again, if I really had to guess, maybe Scarlet Witch, but it's hard for me to say. I could definitely see Zatanna winning based on the feats that they, talk about, based on how much emphasis they put on each of their feats, So I could really see it going either way. But yeah, no, I guess I'll go with Scarlet Witch for now, but the analyses could definitely change my mind. But yeah, without further ado, let's get started. I'm really happy Death Battle is back. We've already had an episode of Season 9, but feels good.
The Scarlet Witch, Marvel's Crimson Queen of Chaos.
Oh, yes.
Zatanna, DC's magnificent mistress of magic. There are those who wield the mystic arts like gods to reach
WandaVision was pretty good, overall.
And there are those who just like to put on a hell of a show. Either way, don't mess with them if you know what's good for you. He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick. And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle.
Ooh, okay. I was expecting sprites.
Though we may drift day by day in a world seemingly
I'm so excited for Multiverse of Madness, man.
The fabric of reality is in fact
can't
more
wait.
delicate than we might dare to wonder. Imagine every single iota of it, every star, galaxy, universe.
Spider-Verse too, the new one, yeah.
Of a single mortal woman to control at her whim. Imagine the danger we're all in if you piss her off. We don't have
or if she loses control,
Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch. As a kid, she and her brother Pietro were poor Romani, who were lucky enough to be turned into superpower.
High evolutionary, yep.
High evolutionary. Unable to control
not Magneto's daughter, not a mutant. Yeah, technically.
Long before Wanda lost control and was branded a witch. Until who would show up but the mutant master of magnetism himself, Magneto. Definitely giving off some.
This would probably feel weird to people who only watch the movies, because Magneto doesn't cross over with Scarlet Witch there, at least not yet.
Great name there, Magneto. Solid branding. And it wasn't long before
it tells you exactly what you need to know.
For a membership with the Avengers, which might have been a bit too much for poor Wanda because she definitely drew the superpower short stick. By waving her hands, Wanda could create small random events known as hexes, subtly altering the probability of any event happening. That's a cool.
But that's more so at the beginning, though.
One magic-y thing per fight, and then be
she got a lot better later.
Here, some telekinesis there, a force field if she's feeling frisky. Not exactly the same oomph as, say, the God of Thunder or the Jolly Green Worldbreaker. But something strange was happening. Over time, her hexes increased in breadth and power, as if there was more to Wanda's powers than met the eye.
Oh, yeah.
She learned to slow and stop time, drain and absorb energy, duplicate herself and others, teleport to different dimensions, and even strip others of their powers entirely.
No more mutants, yeah.
More to Wanda than just being some random science experiment. Let's ask our resident expert on the deepest trenches of character history. Jocelyn, if you will.
Oh, hey, there's Jocelyn.
Wanda's powers weren't entirely the result of the High Evolutionary, nor was she the mutant daughter of Magneto, as he's claimed.
Right.
Her powers weren't just
the whole
some
Chthon
simple
stuff, right?
She might as well have been a god. Until now, she had merely been dipping her toes into the vast ocean known as chaos magic.
Oh,
Though her
yeah.
powers may have seemed to be the byproduct of science, they were in reality the gift of the Lovecraftian elder god Cthon.
Yep, there we go.
To turn Wanda into his future vessel.
Reminds me of my summers by the sea with old Uncle Yogg-Sothoth.
In time,
Oh,
Wanda
jeez.
discovered she could alter the probability of anything she could think of, turning a mathematical impossibility into an absolute certainty.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Wanda's powers kept growing and growing, turning her into a being strong enough to rival even the mightiest of gods. Like, literally, Wanda's chaos magic is counterpart to the Phoenix Force, the embodiment of cosmic order.
Yeah,
You know, that
that's
fiery
some
space
really
chick that can
powerful
destroy the
stuff.
universe. Wanda fought it, and even briefly erased it from existence.
At her height,
Jesus
Scarlet Witch
Christ.
achieved total control over energy, the weather, the elements, your mind, your body, your soul, all of
Please
time,
don't.
all of matter, and all of reality. She can wipe you from existence with a thought and rend the very
And look
fabric
at that
of the
list of
universe
abilities,
as though
man.
it were tissue paper. She isn't even limited to chaos magic either. They might not have been what made her a god, but the High Evolutionary's experiments did make her more
Nightcrawler.
receptive to channeling magical energy. Oh, maybe that's why Mama Boomstick always warned me about redheads. She's so receptive, in fact, that Wanda
Okay.
is the lone nexus being of the 616 reality, a focal point for the universe's magical energies, and one that belongs equally to all other
See, it's like
timelines.
maintaining
It's
all
no
of that,
wonder
you
she
know?
was considered a candidate for Sorcerer Supreme. I mean, shit, why wasn't she? She might as well be a walking
Because she
talking
loses
Infinity
control a
Gauntlet.
lot.
Well, she may have the power of a god, but she's still stuck with a human's body that can be overpowered by physically stronger foes. Though, she also survived being shot with a black matter bullet capable of, and I quote, world-shattering energy.
Black matter, yeah.
She does technically need to be able to think of a spell in order to get it to happen, so she could theoretically be blitzed. But she's also
Right.
rocked Thor's galaxy-crossing hammer, kept up with dudes like X-Man who can fight within plank time, and even amp her
Damn.
speed beyond the concept of speed herself. Despite
Right,
being
and plank
far and
time is
away
like
mightiest
the
among Earth's
minimalistic
mightiest
thing for
heroes, Wanda
speed or
resented
time.
the pressure of her incredible power. She actually wanted a quiet life as a wife and a mother. But because no one in comics is allowed to have a happily ever after,
No.
that life was taken from her.
The fans
by
will not
literal
allow
Satan.
that.
Not the last time he'd do this too. Wanda
Oh,
snapped
Spider-Man,
and she took the multiverse
One
with
More
her.
Day.
By tapping
That was
into an
awful.
inconceivable and unknowable pool of energy known as the Life Force, Wanda rewrote all of reality, creating a new universe.
Like, yeah,
where
all
life
of it.
was just how she wanted it. No matter whose lives she had to change, in this House of M, she had her family back, but at the cost of her sanity.
And it wasn't long before it all came crashing down around her. Once her family and friends discovered the lie of their new lives and turned against her, she uttered 3 fateful words and erased nearly all of
No more
mankind.
mutants, yep.
No more mutants.
Wanda weaved her magic throughout all of existence, created cracks across reality which spread throughout the Omniverse, and threatened to annihilate all of creation.
This
The
analysis is
entirety of
just
Marvel's
insane.
infinite cosmology. Everything that ever was. Shit got dark, and while Wanda has worked to keep her powers in check since then, that threat is always there. But honestly, that sounds more like a problem for anyone who's stupid enough to get in her
That's
way.
what I was thinking,
Both a
yeah.
blessing and a curse, a help and a hex. Such is the true power of the Scarlet Witch.
Oh, sorry, hang on. Let's just skip this ad. This hasn't happened in a long time. And doing it off of
This
Rooster
episode of
Teeth,
Death Battle
there's
is
also
sponsored by
ads,
the
you know?
Northman. Remind me why you need to be holding a god
Oh,
slaying
is this the
axe
sponsorship?
trailer. Weapons of cosmic Bjork speaking threatening
Yeah, it definitely is. Okay, yeah, they really switched up, like, the structure of everything.
Come walk,
And sorry,
come
Death
walk
Battle, I'm
to
not gonna
see
watch
the
your sponsorship.
magnificent Zatanna Zatara, for never was there a greater professor of prestidigital performance. AKA magic! Except Zatanna's spells aren't just smoke and mirrors, they're the real deal.
Yeah.
You're really getting your money's worth. She learned everything she knew from her father, Giovanni Zatara, who put his powers to good use as one of DC's very first superheroes. No joke.
Yeah.
He's the guy who taught Batman everything he knows about escape artistry. He debuted the same issue as Superman, and the
Oh,
young
wow, I didn't know
Zatanna
that.
was more than happy to serve as his assistant, learning everything he knew about the cutthroat world of entertainment. Oh, and And Cape should too, but the former is way
Cape
worse.
shit, yeah.
She inherited her father's incredible mystical abilities as well. Essentially, anything Zatanna thinks of, she can make real.
And she says it
She
backwards.
focuses this absurdly powerful ability by speaking her desired effect backwards. Her father based this technique on the diaries of Leonardo da Vinci, who some theorize wrote backwards in order to hide his ideas from the repressive medieval Catholic Church.
Is that, like,
Or because
real?
he was left-handed.
Yeah, that's another theory. If you hate fun.
Is that actually, like,
Zatanna's apparently
wow.
great enough that she has no problem speaking backwards at the drop of a hat. Like when this one dude
Yeah.
kept reversing time in the middle of her sentences. She started speaking in palindromes so that she'd still be speaking backwards no matter what. I mean,
God damn.
what they say with,
That's actually
"Nobody
really
gets to love
cool.
me. I'm a lasagna hug."
With her magic,
That's
Zatanna
a
has
great
bent the
palindrome.
laws of reality to her whims. She's transmuted matter on an atomic level, teleported across dimensions, commanded the elements, turned invisible, removed powers, cast illusions, read and controlled
she can remove powers,
minds,
too.
traveled through and stopped time, and can even wipe people from existence with a single word.
It might not seem obvious from that.
Very
movie
similar to
Magic
Scarlet Witch so
Castle
far.
getup, But Zatanna is one of the most powerful sorcerers in DC. Like the time she battled the Time Tailor Zor, an old enemy of the Spectre. You know, the angel of God's divine wrath.
In order to defeat an opponent of
Ooh.
such unimaginable power, Zatanna focused her magical might into shattering the boundaries of reality. She reached out beyond the very comic panels themselves and pulled Zor's entire magical universe down around him. She literally handled
Yikes.
all of reality like it was a sheet of paper and crumpled it in her hands.
That might seem.
Well, he didn't say
crazy,
anything about that
completely
directly for
impossible
Scarlet
to us,
Witch.
But it's all a matter of belief. Literally. As long
But
as
maybe
Zatanna
she could
believes
still
she can
do something like
with her
that?
magic, she'll do it.
As she puts it, her magic is essentially asserting one reality, then replacing it with another. This is similar to other magical characters like Dr. Fate and Green Lantern, whose powers have been stated to work the exact same way.
Okay.
But it's not like any rando can do magic by wishing on a star. Zatanna is genetically predisposed to this kind of magical reality warping.
Yeah, we're going
Law
deep.
was in actuality
Like,
a
especially with
full
these,
magi.
like, types of
Some
comic
reason
panels, you know we're
humans
going deep.
naturally adept at magic.
So it's no wonder that Zatanna became an invaluable member of both the Justice League of America and Justice League Dark. The Shadow the Hedgehog version.
Yeah.
Zatanna
Justice League Dark's cool, though.
Years worth of sunlight into a single energy blast, created ruptures across all of space and time throughout the DC multiverse.
The
and has even
multiverse.
claimed she's as powerful as Superman himself. Pre-Crisis Superman, in case you were wondering. Her only limit
What?
is her imagination and will. In fact, her backward speaking is mostly a stagecraft tradition meant to boost her concentration.
In a pinch, she can cast a spell with a single thought, and I doubt anyone's winning a quick draw with her. She's matched superheroes like Martian Manhunter, who scanned every mind on Earth in a Planck instant. Or how about
Planck
Dr.
instant,
Fate,
again.
whose magic traveled across the universe at the completely immeasurable velocity of God.
Zatanna has fended off countless reality-shattering threats like the Eldritch Upside-Down Man, Primordial Darkness, that is evil incarnate, and the Void Beyond Creation, Pralaya.
This shadow
Yeah, this is why it's so
all
hard
of
to analyze
DC
these characters.
comics, all of creation, everything.
How do you even,
God,
like, assign
demons,
limits
rabbits,
to them?
spandex, everything. And Zatanna's magic was strong enough to hold her back.
And then, after secretly implanting Swamp Thing inside Pralaya, she weaved a
Sure.
spell within him to literally regrow all of reality back in seconds.
Zatanna tricked a being older than God and then blew her ass up from the inside with a whole new omniverse. Abracadabra.
Such is the
Yeah.
overwhelming power of Zatanna's will. Should it falter, though, or should her focus be disrupted, it could all come crashing down like a house of cards. Belief is a fragile
feel like that
thing,
goes for a lot of
and all
characters,
major powers
though.
were weakened for a time after she lost belief in herself.
And she's definitely got one big weak point. She's a huge daddy's girl.
Despite her amazing career, she has struggled within herself to live up to her father's legacy.
Is that a weak point in
especially
battle,
after his
though?
grueling death.
And this MFer has died a lot of times. So Z's therapy can't be cheap. Especially after dating John Constantine. Oh,
Every
I can
comic
just
book
smell the
character
lager
needs
and
therapy.
self-loathing from here. No, wait, that's me.
Questionable romance aside, Zatanna is a consummate professional raised on one singular principle. The show must go on, and she'll always finish strong with a standing ovation.
Hell yeah.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy.
Relationships are
Sound a little bored there, Wiz. Okay, let's skip through this.
Much more affordable than in-person. Show is sponsored
I don't
by
think I'm going to be
BetterHelp.
talking about this for that long, to be honest.
All right, the combatants are set. We've run the data through all possibilities.
It's
Time for a death battle, and...
with magic.
Yep, okay. Pausing. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, I knew, like, I did my research on these characters, obviously not to that extent. They brought up a few things I had no idea about before, some things that I feel like they gave me more clarification on, so I don't know. I feel like there were a lot of things about Zatanna that really surprised me. Like about like regrowing the universe. I'm not even going to remember all of these feats, like exactly what happened, because some of them are so abstract and I'm just hearing about them now. But it seems like both of them, they were instances of plank time, which again, like I kind of mentioned this before, but like plank time is like the shortest amount of measurable time that can exist, period. So, like, it's basically, like, right before you get to immeasurable speed, essentially, if you're working with plank time. So, yeah, it seems like both of them can react pretty similarly. I didn't really think speed was going to be a huge, like, factor in the fight anyway, but it seems like both of them are around even. And it seems like, again, both of them can just... I feel like they were a little more vague when it came to Scarlet Witch, because with Zatanna, they were talking specifically about like all of creation, like the multiverse. They even said like her power like stretched across like the DC multiverse, you know. But you know, with Scarlet Witch, they basically just said like all of reality. I'm not sure exactly what they meant by reality. Like, do they mean, you know, like the Marvel multiverse? Do they mean outside of that? Do they, you know, exactly like what does all of reality actually mean? You know, so I don't know if they were being vague on purpose, because if they went into more detail, then it would become obvious. I'm not sure. They seem to have a lot of the same powers, you know, like stopping and slowing down time, you know, manipulating time, and like the elements, and taking away powers as well, wishing people away with a thought or with a word, you know, so a lot of that, like, really high-end stuff seemed very similar. And with the whole, like, you know, no more mutants, the life energy or whatever, it sounds like they're including that for Scarlet Witch and basically saying that, you know, oh, if it gets to the right point, she could unleash it again. So it looks like they're definitely including that for Scarlet Witch. And again, maybe they're not expanding on it as much as they're going to later. I feel like there's going to be some more expanding on exact capabilities after the fight is over, which, you know, is fair enough. You can't go too deep into it if you want there to be some mystery, and there's definitely some mystery here. You know, it's so hard to wrap your head around. And, you know, the chaos magic or her powers are like the counterpart to the Phoenix Force, you know, so, and she even wished away the Phoenix Force temporarily. The Phoenix Force is ridiculous. But then you also have Zatanna, who's on par with pre-Crisis Superman, fought a character that stood up against the Spectre, or, you know, so, like, how even... And again, people are going to have their reservations about who they think is stronger than who across Marvel and DC and comparing them together. And Death Battle is going to have their own opinions on that as well. That, like, this video is basically just one of those opinions. So I don't know what they're going to say exactly. I don't know if they're going to scale the Phoenix Force higher than, like, pre-Crisis Superman. I don't know if they do it higher than Spectre, though. But again, maybe there's, like, other things that Scarlet Witch has done that they haven't even brought up yet. Maybe there's, you know, some actual, like, specific circumstances that came with Zatanna's feats. I don't know. My gut is still saying Scarlet Witch, but I really don't know. I feel like, though, if Scarlet Witch were to win, they'd really have to be holding back something specific for her in the analyses, because with Zatanna, some of the stuff that Zatanna did, and like going into specifics, like again, the multiverse, regrowing reality, fighting Spectre, or fighting someone who fought Spectre, and, you know, matching Superman, supposedly. Maybe they'll go into why that actually doesn't make sense, I don't know. But all of that seemed really powerful. Like, that all seemed really impressive. But in my prediction video, I did go with Scarlet Witch, so I'm still going to go with Scarlet Witch. But I would not be surprised at all if Zatanna wins. I just hope we get a good fight. So without further ado, let's continue. Of course, like a magic show. She pulls Scarlet Witch out of the hat.
Ta-da! What sort of two-bit
The show must go on, right?
think you are? Two-bit? Perhaps, Miss
So it's just more magic god hubris
being generous.
that starts the fight. Ooh!
All part of the show, folks.
Bunch of bunnies. That's enough, right? Scarlet Witch is already getting mad. Oh! Superman punch. Did she just summon Superman?
Calls for an avenger.
And she's summoning the Hulk or Avatar, something like that? I wasn't expecting this, wow. Wonder Woman, so many of these characters.
Know the difference between you and I.
Is that right?
Well, I think the difference is presentation.
Megamind.
And I know a trick when I see one.
Oh. You just reached beyond my phone? Damn, like she's outside of realities, I think.
Universes.
The universes.
Run forever. Now make like a magician and disappear.
Okay, let's go. She's juggling. So far, this is more silly than epic, but I kind of like it. Yikes. I have no idea what she's saying. That was a cool shot. But I refuse to believe that's it.
A disappearing act was the first thing Dad ever taught me. And for my final trick, no more witches.
Oh my god.
And that's our show, ladies.
Jeez. Okay then.
Now that's a magic trick that's to die for.
Analyzing this matchup was like walking on a tightrope. It could fall either
Yeah.
way at any point.
Because at the end of the day, both these ladies could do basically anything with their magic.
Exactly.
All they had to do was think and shit would happen. They were totally even. At her peak, Wanda was able to threaten the stability of all creation.
And at Zatanna's best, she was able to hold back Pralaya, who could do the exact same thing. And despite some differences, the omniversal cosmologies of Marvel and DC Comics are roughly equivalent in size and scope. All that
Fair
was left
enough.
for us to look at was their weaknesses.
While both were as powerful as one another, Wanda needed to tap into the life force to reach that pinnacle, and doing so threatened her sanity.
Let's take a closer look at the
Okay.
events surrounding House of M, where Wanda's powers were at their maximum.
Despite admitting that she was way stronger, Doctor Strange managed to get the best of Wanda with a cool head and a spell that briefly knocked her out cold.
His wits against her mental instability were enough to turn the tide.
To be clear, this instability definitely wouldn't affect her power. She was still strong enough to create a completely new alternate reality
Yeah.
and erase it just as easily. What it would do is leave her open.
Also, take her No More Mutant spell. As insanely powerful as it was to affect the whole of Marvel's creation, it wasn't entirely successful. There was still a tiny
Yeah,
portion of
I knew
Earth's
about that,
population
yeah.
left unaffected, likely due to interference from Strange and Emma Frost.
Against Zatanna, who was just as strong and not losing her mind, she wouldn't be able to afford that kind of lapse, even for an instant.
On the other hand, Zatanna has managed to maintain her willpower fighting foes just as strong as the Scarlet Witch, so she didn't have the same kind of exploitable weakness.
And remember, she doesn't actually need to say her spells backwards.
It helps with her concentration, but all her spells come from her mental impulses.
Yeah.
Just like Wanda. She's consistently pulled off non-verbal spells in the past, even against beings as strong as Pralaya.
In the end, Z definitely had enough experience fighting smart and keeping on her toes to hang with Wanda long enough to get in a finishing blow.
While there were definitely versions of this battle that could have ended with Wanda victorious, Zatanna's cooler head and effortless magic allowed her to prevail.
I guess you could say Wanda never saw it coming, and Zatanna maxim offed her.
No.
Winner is Zatanna.
That was awful.
Death Battle
Okay, I'll talk about
is
this fight. For the next one, I'm thinking it's either Jonathan versus Tanjiro or a fight that we haven't even been teased about yet. That'd be my guess. What do we got? We got Jonathan versus... Yeah, Tanjiro. There we go. Nice. They even say Demon Slayer. Yeah, and Jonathan from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Yeah, like... I thought they were either going to have a new, like a fight that we hadn't, been teased about before, because they teased Tanjiro at the end of Saitama versus Popeye. I thought we were either going to have one that was not teased yet, or was going to be this one. I had reasons to believe it wasn't going to be any of the others, because I thought, Vegeta is going to probably fight Thor, and Tetsuo is probably going to fight Magneto, and I didn't think that they were going to have, two Marvel characters in a row, especially after having two DC characters in a row with this one and, Harley Quinn versus Jinx. And with the Boba Fett fight, I was thinking maybe they would save that for May, for Star Wars Day. Kenobi, I think, is also coming out later in May, so maybe they would do something for that. Or maybe even later, I'm not sure. Either way, I was right, so this is the fight that we're getting. So yeah, I'll definitely have a prediction out for that one. But yeah, I don't really have much to say about it right now, other than I'm excited. I hope we get a good fight. But talking about this episode, so I do think that them going in the approach of, the characters' weaknesses and, how reliable their powers are, I wasn't expecting it, but from the perspective of, these characters are just so powerful that trying to figure out who's more powerful is kind of pointless. I can kind of get behind that. I can understand where they were coming from. I think in my prediction, I was trying to more so see if I could find any differences between, how powerful they were, who would come out on top. But I can understand their reasoning. I feel like there's going to be some people who don't love the reasoning very much. But I can honestly understand where they're coming from. Again, it's with Marvel and DC, two of the strongest universes out there, or the multiverses, the verses, two of the strongest verses out there. It's when you start getting that high in power, it's how do you even compare them? So I can understand Zatanna winning for sure. I can understand why they decided to go that route. I do think, though, it is basically 50-50. Even if Scarlet Witch had won, I would still be saying that it's basically 50-50. There's no rock solid, really, really good way of saying who would win so many more times than the other one. But I can see that, trying to go for the small differences in how reliable their powers, or how reliably their powers work. I can understand that methodology personally. So I'm fine with the outcome, even if it wasn't what I was expecting. And for some reason, I was so sure that Scarlet Witch was going to win that I was expecting them to reveal more about what Scarlet Witch did, and saying that she was actually better than what they said about her in the analyses. But if I was just looking at the analyses, I think I would have gone for Zatanna, because I thought at face value, her feats just looked better, but for some reason, I just didn't decide to do that. So that's on me. But yeah, that's one prediction wrong then for this season, which is okay. For last season, season 8, I got a lot of predictions right. I think there were only 2 that I got wrong, and I predicted every single fight. But yeah, that's all right. I don't really care whether or not I get the predictions right. I just want to see a fun death battle. Now, talking about the quality of this death battle, the fight itself was very, silly. There were a lot of silly moments, a lot of out-of-the-box moments, which I did appreciate. But I was kind of expecting something a little more epic, to be honest. closer to the end, they were really starting to go with, like, you know, expanding beyond universes, a ton of energy, like, going at each other, you know, that kind of stuff. But I don't know, the fight still kind of felt a little short to me. And I feel like while I did like the whimsical elements to it, I think I would have preferred more of a balance, like maybe fewer whimsical, sillier elements and more of like the over-the-top stuff. I kind of expected like them expanding beyond the universes to be like the first crazy thing that they did, and then they'd go even further. But, you know, I can't really complain that much because I find it hard to believe that Death Battle would intentionally not do the best that they could with this fight. Because, like, they have to do, like, all these fights in this season, you know? They can't just spend so much time on one fight and take time away from the other fight. So I find it hard to believe that they wouldn't give this fight the most amount of attention they could possibly give it. And animation on its own is so hard to do. So I feel like I can't really, like, complain that much about it. But at the same time, you know, I can't help but think, you know, what I would have preferred, you know? So that still exists. But I feel like I can't really, like, put that on Death Battle that much. Maybe I would have directed the animation a little differently, but that's really the most I can say about that, I think. In terms of the analyses for me personally were fun to watch. I think maybe there could have been more things they could have brought up, but they already brought up a crap ton of things for both of the characters. So I feel like, again, for normal Death Battle standards, they really went all out with talking about different feats, talking about the scope of their powers and their weaknesses, especially, you know, in the conclusion. So, you know, I don't really have too much to complain about there. I think, you know, I would have been more annoyed if they brought up less than what they did, but they brought up a good amount, I personally think. Again, in terms of the exact analyses, they didn't really come up with any calculations, at least in terms of power, which I don't really blame them for. But, you know, I'm sure that there are more exact things that people would have liked to see from the analyses, like exact calculations or something like that. But personally, I don't really mind. I wouldn't say this is one of my favorite episodes ever. I do think maybe there was a bit of missed potential, especially in the animation. But again, I really don't want to, like, I don't want to go too hard on that just because animation is so hard to do. And again, I find it hard to believe that they would just put less effort into this episode than they possibly could, you know? So this one was fine. I think I like Jinx versus Harley more so far, but either way, you know, I'm still happy I saw this episode, and I'm happy that now I know what Death Battle thinks of the fight. But I want to hear what you guys thought of this episode. Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Who do you think should have won? Let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like. Comment your comments down below. Subscribe if you could too. That would be amazing. But no matter what you guys do, thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And that's it for me. I will see all of you guys in the next video. Peace out.